Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Pichana Vallabha Girivardhari Pichana Vallabha Shodhanandana Prajajana Ranjana Shodhanandana Prajajana Ranjana Shodhanandana Prajajana Ranjana Shodhanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamana Thira Panachari Yamana Thira Panachari Thira Panachari Jaya Radha Mahava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yashodhanandana Bhajajana Ranjana Yashodhanandana Yashodhanandana Bhajajana Ranjana Yashodhanandana Bhajajana Shamana Thira Panachari Shamana Thira Jamana Thira Panachari Jamana Thira Panachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Sri Radha Madhava Ki Jai Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, concert is over. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 We are reading from... I have to open my folio. We're reading from 1:630. This is the life of Narada Muni. This verse is very similar to Bhagavad Gita 8:17. And today is a science class on time and creation. Sahasra Yuga Paryante Utayedam Sarikshataha Marichi Mishra Rishaya Pranebhyoham Chajagire. See if you can do it. Sahasra Yuga Paryante Utayedam Sisrikshataha Marichi Mishra Rishaya Pranebhyoham Chajagire. Try once more. Sahasra Yuga Paryante Utayedam Sisrikshataha Marichi Mishra Rishaya Pranebhyoham Chajagire. Sahasra 1,000, Yuga 4,320,000 years. Paryante, at the end of the duration, Utaya, having expired, idam, this, Sisrikshataha, desire to create again, Marichi Mishra, rishis like Marichi, Rishaya, all the rishis, Pranebhya, out of his senses, aham, I, cha, also, Jagire, appeared. What do you think it means? Can you guess? It's Narada Muni speaking. Anyone want to guess? I should have warned you before. After 3,320,000,000 solar years, when Brahma awoke to create again, by the will of the Lord, all the rishis like Marichi, Angira, Atri, and so on were created from the transcendental body of the Lord, and I also appeared along with them. This is coming from the body of Mahavishnu. When there's recreation, because there's two kinds of creation. One is this creation, and one is the initial creation. So this is not the initial, this is just going on. After 12 hours of Brahma, he goes to sleep. So 12 hours is 4,320,000,000 years. And so then his night is 4,320,000,000. So it's 8,640,000,000 years is his day. And Lord Chaitanya comes once in a day of Brahma. So you have one chance in 8,640,000,000 years to get his mercy. And I want to read you something, just to put you in anxiety, in a good way. So Lord Chaitanya comes once in a day of Brahma, so a day is 8,640,000,000 years. It's a long time. And if you miss that opportunity, maybe like that's it, Sorry, see you in the next round. See you. So we're going to read this, but I'll explain it. You have 4 ages, as we know, Satya, beginning with Sat Yuga and Dwapar Yuga. Treta, Dwapar. Dwapar is supposed to come before Treta. I forget why it comes after. And then Kali. And if you multiply those 4 ages by 1,000, that is 4,320,000,000 years. You're going to be tested on this before. Otherwise, you don't get prasadam. And so that's his 12 hours. So 1,000 ages, it's kind of a long time, just those 4 ages. But times 1,000, that's his day. And also his night. And Lord Chaitanya comes once in a day of Brahma. So that's once every 8,640,000,000 years. So it's kind of rare. Lord Chaitanya does come, but not in this form where he's giving love of God like this. So that's why Prabhupada said, we think, oh, okay, well, I don't become a devotee now, then, I can continue. Yeah, that's true. But Prabhupada's saying if you miss it, like just any average person on the street doesn't get Mahaprabhu's mercy, then maybe they're not going to get it, who knows, for another 1,000 days, 1,000 ages, times another 1,000 cycles of Kali Yuga, of the 4 ages, excuse me. So that's possible. If they don't get Mahaprabhu's mercy, maybe that's it. So, when I was reading this verse, I was thinking, well, this is going to be like a science class today, because Prabhupada's going to give you technical information. Basically, this information is in Bhagavad Gita 8:17, exactly, the time factors of the ages. So when I was reading it, I was thinking, well, our meditation should be, that's a long time, and we've been in the material world a long time. And sometimes it said, we've been here from beginningless time because we existed before time. We're eternal, right? So we already existed before material time. So we kind of dropped into material time and we've been here. And there's you can't calculate it because it's kind of, it's eternal. So we're eternally conditioned. So where does that begin? How do you calculate eternal? So we've been around a long time. And the point is, if you meditate on this, that we've been around a long time, then you think, I have a chance to end the cycle and I could, at the end of this life, be with Krishna. And for those of you who are younger, I'm a little older, life does go by fast. But if you look at me, you think, oh, he's so old, that's like, I won't be that old for 30, 40, 50 years or whatever. But 30, 40, 50 years is just going to snap by like nothing. And so to think that in the end of this life, whatever that split second is going to be, I could meet Krishna. That's like, meditate on that. And if you don't faint, something's wrong with you. It's so amazing to think that. Yeah, like after being eternally conditioned in this life, the end of this life, I can meet Krishna. After how long has it been since I met him? Well, some will say we never met him. Some will say we did. But in either case, we've been conditioned a long time. So, and we can meet Krishna. That's like mind-boggling if you actually meditate on it, isn't it? Like meditate on eternity. Like, how can you? That's like, I've been conditioned eternally. That's like scary, isn't it? Mm. And I can meet Krishna at the end of this life. That's amazing. And so many times they're like, yeah, but it's so hard to surrender. Yeah. It's like, wait a minute, you're surrendering to birth, old age, disease, and death. That's harder. Right. So we have like we were saying yesterday in the seminar, we have our fears backwards, isn't it? We fear the wrong thing. I fear surrender, I should fear not surrendering. I fear surrender is going to be difficult. Not, I should fear how difficult it's going to be to take birth again. It's more difficult, right? So we're at a disadvantage because it's Kali Yuga and our brains don't work right in Kali Yuga. All our brains can think is, give me something to eat. Yeah, basically, when can I have sex next? Let me play a video game. That's our Kali Yuga brain. So it's like, and Prabhupada's trying to get through to that Kali Yuga brain that, hello, in case you haven't noticed, you can go back to Godhead in this lifetime after being here forever. Okay. And then, can I play a video game now? That's our Kali Yuga brain. Isn't it? So that's what we're dealing with. Hare Krishna. It's like if I come in today and say, my father has this housing project and they're all mansions. And he decided to give them all to me. And there's 100 of them. And it's all furnished, and in every mansion there's a safe with $10 million in, so you just invest that, you won't have to work, and there are 2 cars, beautiful cars. And all you have to do is come with me, go over there, sign some papers and give $1. And then you say, that's so much trouble. You mean I have to go all the way over there? I don't have $1. And I'm so tired. I don't feel like signing that contract. It's exactly what this is like, isn't it? Kali Yuga brain, big disadvantage. So we listen to Prabhupada, we read his books, and he's trying to make sense with the Kali Yuga brain. No, don't think like that. Think like this. And then we think, oh yeah, that makes sense. So the brain starts to function, because it never really functioned that well before. Right? So we hear from Prabhupada, I'm eternal soul, suffering, birth and death. It's either, the choice is either I love Krishna or I engage in material activity and suffer my karma again and again, up and down, different species. Prabhupada keeps, some people wonder, why does Prabhupada keep repeating the same thing? Because it takes 100 or 1,000 times to get it. That's why. If we could get it the first time, why would he repeat it? He's always repeating it, so he's reprogramming this Kali Yuga brain so that we think, oh yeah, I should do this. And not only should I do it, I should share with others. This is important. And then we stop asking, where's the video game? What's for breakfast? And we let me read Bhagavatam. Let me understand this. So that was my meditation this morning. I think it's a beautiful meditation to just consider that one lifetime you can be Krishna conscious after unlimited lives, uncountable lives being conditioned. And so we finally come to a point, I'm kind of tired of taking birth and death, it's kind of like a waste of time, basically. Because you just come back and do the same thing, which is basically nothing. Just eat, sleep, mate, and defend. So that's a waste of time, right? When you could go back to Krishna, right? So I'm wasting time. What's so important? I have to eat, sleep, mate, and defend. Yeah, well, you've done that since forever. Yeah, I know, but I don't remember. And this seems all new, so let's do it again. How many pizzas and lasagnas have you eaten in your material existence? Or something similar, 10 zillion? And you want to come back and eat another one, right? That's what's going on. So Prabhupada speaks to us and we go, oh yeah, I'm doing what I've already done. Why do it again? This is going nowhere. Samsara. Samsara, you know what samsara means? Going nowhere fast. It's a circle. Just going around. Birth, old age, disease, and death. Do it again. Birth, do it again. Do it again. Now, Kali Yuga is getting bad. So some people think, well, it's not so bad. Take birth again. Yeah, well, every time you take birth again, it's worse. Right? So when I took birth, there was 0.0000000 divorce because it was illegal. That's why. But even after it was legal, so we all came from stable families, had a mother, father. They stayed there. They worked, took care of us. Then you go after the hippie movement, it changed, right? So then there's less mothers and fathers staying together, more divorce, right? And now you're at 50-60% chance you'll have a mother and a father, and some chance that you have them and they're so damaged they can't even be good mothers and fathers, or they become alcoholics, or any other number of weird things, right? So it's getting harder to grow up. When I grew up, it was It's kind of like nothing. Yeah, I don't know how to say it. It was like a fairy tale compared to now. Growing up, my childhood was like, it's like nothing ever went wrong. Ever, it was like, you just, you live and everything's like a little storybook, fairy tale. There's some crazy figure. I don't want to quote it because I could be wrong. But I read in Latin America, maybe maybe you have experience. I read in Latin America 2/3 of the girls are raped. That's just like, do you know? You have any experience? It's high, right? Raped by family members, Okay, we'll lowball it. We'll say 50%. But one of my godbrothers said, he said 2/3 of his female disciples have been raped. He's in Latin America. So, I mean, whether it's 2/3, 1/3, 1/4, 1/5, my point is, you want to come back in Kali Yuga, maybe you'll be born as a woman in Latin America. That's what's, it's a good chance that's going to happen. So we're thinking, oh, not so bad, I'll come back, I'll be a devotee, bakors and sweet rice, whatever. No, it's Kali Yuga. You can go to Vrindavan, but it's Kali Yuga, and somebody could steal your wallet. It's Kali Yuga, right? So Prabhupada was trying to help us understand this, that that kind of thinking is not intelligent, and we should really take self-realization seriously. So anyway, when we read the purport, we can just kind of meditate on that, about time. Trying to drink a lot of water, as you notice, right? So I already drank 2 cups this morning. Trying to have a clean machine, right? Trying to live forever. That's the thing. This, the whole health movement is like, well, let's live forever. Isn't it? Like, who wants to die? Take your vitamins, do your exercise, eat your greens. Yeah. Who wants to get old? It's like, and people don't even understand that's what they're doing. They're like, Prabhupada says, you're getting old, do you like it? You're going to die, do you like it? And people are like, I don't mind dying. Life is good. And they don't realize that they're fighting against death all the time. Right? Every time you take that vitamin, you're trying to postpone death and postpone old age a little bit, right? And so they don't even realize it. If you're crossing, if you're driving your car and someone's on the other side, the wrong side of the road coming at you, what do? Well, I don't care if I die. So you just drive into them, right? No, you drive away because you don't want to die. That's just, even the guy who says he doesn't want to die will drive away from that spontaneously, right? Anyway, let's read the purport. The duration of a day in the life of Brahma is 4,320,000,000 solar years. This is stated also in Bhagavad Gita. And for the same period, Brahmaji rests at night in Yoga Nidra within the body of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, the generator Brahma. So that's the time, as I said, that's the 12 hours, is the 4,320,000,000. And then he rests in the body of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. Thus, after the sleep, and this is not the original creation, it's a secondary creation that goes on and off periodically. Thus, after the sleeping period of Brahma, when there is another creation by the will of the Lord through the agency of Brahma, all the rishis again appear from different parts of the transcendental body of Narada. All the rishis appear from the different parts of the transcendental body, and Narada also appears. And this means that Narada appears in the same transcendental body, just as a man awakes from sleep in the same body. That means he's liberated. Right? Sri Narada is eternally free to move in all parts of the transcendental and material creations of the Almighty. He appears and disappears in his own transcendental body, which is without distinction of body and soul, unlike conditioned beings. So there's 2 points. One is this understanding that now that Narada is liberated, he doesn't have a material body, or he's not materially conditioned. He appears in that same body, and interestingly enough, he stays here to preach. He doesn't. This is in every creation he comes here. That's his service, right? And so, another thing that sticks out here, which is quite interesting, is that this is a great facility for preaching because flying in airplanes is like, it takes a long time. Sometimes it takes longer to fly or equally as long as it would to drive, right? Because you got to drive to the airport, which could be an hour away, and then you have to wait 2 hours, and then you have to fly an hour and a half, and it ends up being the whole day, and you could have driven or something. It's just the hassle. So if I could just appear in Alachua tomorrow, that would be easier, And if you're all saying, Prabhu, when are you coming back? I'm like, oh, I have to go to the airport. I have to pack my bag, and I have to go to the airport, and I have to pay this money and sit on the plane and do the sardine thing for a few hours, and then the airlines are all now. First you fly to Atlanta, then you get another, then you walk through the whole airport, and then you get another flight, or you fly to Charlotte, and then you get because that's their base. And we live in Gainesville, so they don't want to fly you directly. So, and I think, if I could just appear, that would be like, if you asked me when are you coming back, I could say, well, I could come back for a Bhagavatam class anytime, just appear and then just go back. That would be good, right? That's what Narada Muni's doing. Now, if you want to expand your preaching field to other planets, then you would have this city that you go to any planet and just show up. And so Narada Muni, a lot of times you see he just shows up. It's like, where did he come from? It's like, sometimes you have movies like that, or comedy shows, or someone just shows up, right? Isn't it? Right when you need him. So look at how Krishna facilitates a devotee who wants to spread his glories. He just gives him okay, you're going to have this liberated body without restriction. You have unlimited free flights, first class, Siddha class, and and now you're facilitated. You can preach, So that's also what's going on. Yeah, we could read if you like, just to. I have to open the folio. Yeah, we can read 8:17, just because it explains. Excuse me. It explains. What I explained, but maybe a few more details. We can just read it to get clear. Thank you. Maybe I'm allergic to devotees. I don't know. I hope not. Okay. So this is going to sound similar to the verse we just read. Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Ahar Yad Brahmano Vidu. Ratrim Yuga Sahasrantam Teho Ratravido Janaha. Bhagavad Gita 8:17. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together form the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. So now Prabhupada breaks it down completely in the purport. Just if you're not clear, it'll be clear now. The duration of the material universe is limited. It is manifested in cycles of kalpas. A kalpa is a day of Brahma. And one day of Brahma consists of 1,000 cycles of 4 yugas or ages, Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali. Treta, Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali. We're kind of like the Aussies. We truncate everything, so it's no longer Dwapara, it's Dwarpa. Right? You say Dwarpa, it's actually Sanskrit is Dwapara. So yeah, you take off the A at the end. That's kind of what they do with Hindi. If it's not a long A, if it's a short A, you can take it off. Treta, you can't say Trait Yuga, you have to say Treta. So anyway, The Aussies are good at that. The cycle of Satya is characterized by virtue, wisdom, and religion. There being practically no ignorance and vice in the Yuga at last, 1,728,000 years. In Treta Yuga, vice is introduced. And the Yuga lasts 1,296,000 years. In the Dwapara Yuga, there is an even greater decline in virtue and religion, vice increasing, and this Yuga lasts 864,000 years. And and finally in Kali Yuga, the Yuga we now have been experiencing over the past 5,000 years, there is an abundance of strife, ignorance, irreligion, and vice. True virtue being practically non-existent. And this Yuga lasts for 432,000 years. This Yuga is half the length of Dwapara, but Dwapara is not half the length of Satya. Interestingly. Anyway, just an interesting fact. In Kali Yuga, vice increases to such a point that at the termination of the Yuga, the Supreme Lord himself appears as the Kalki avatar, vanquishes the demons, saves his devotees, and commences another Satya Yuga. And you would think, it sounds like, well, all the people he kills will come back in Satya Yuga. That's an assumption. Like, why would you, if you're a sinful person and you're still around at the end of Kali Yuga, why would that qualify you to enter Satya Yuga? So it means you'll just take birth in some other Kali Yuga where you belong. Unless this is a special blessing. But could be a blessing. I'm not sure. I don't have details. Maybe somebody knows. Anybody know? I think we just made the assumption. I always made the assumption everybody would come back in Satya Yuga. But if that's true, then it's a blessing for being killed by Kalki. Because in Satya Yuga, everyone will be liberated. Then the process is set rolling again. In other words, what we just described, it's cyclic, and so, obviously the 4 ages go 1,000 times, annihilation, then again creation. Or the 4 ages just keep going, and then, 4 ages keep going 1,000 times, then partial annihilation, then again creation, partial creation. The 4 yugas, rotating 1,000 times, comprise 1 day of Brahma, and the same number comprise 1 night. Brahma lives 100 of such years and then dies. These 100 years, by earth calculations, total to 311 trillion, 40 billion earth years. That's a lot of years. A trillion is a lot, right? A trillion is 1,000 billion, right? Is it? 1,000, like a million is 1,000 times 1,000, so a billion would be 1,000 billion times 1,000 billion would be a trillion. That's a lot of billions. That's a lot of time. Yeah. You ever wonder, like, I'm trying to be a devotee, and sometimes my mind, my senses, they're just like going after things that I know are wrong. I've told other people it's wrong, don't do it. And you wonder why. Well, after multiple trillions, forget the numbers. From beginningless time, that's what we've been doing. So, you're wondering, why am I so conditioned? It's wonder no longer. It's like, imagine having a bad habit that long. It'd be hard to break, right? Imagine you were sucking your thumb for like 311 trillion years and your mother said stop, and you're like, I can't stop. Okay, smoke a cigar. It's like, okay, we're in the process of deconditioning ourselves. It's like you think that's going to be easy. Like, why am I thinking this thought? Well, because you thought it like 3 trillion times before. Not even 3 trillion. There's no number. How many times you thought it. So it's like, yeah, of course you think it. But now you're a devotee. It's like, okay, now I know I'm thinking it, but I'm a devotee, so I'm not going to do anything. It's just a thought that's coming from my past. I don't need it now, so just tolerate it and go on. And eventually it'll go, eventually it'll go away. As I was saying in yesterday's class, that it's so beautiful and powerful to think that my nature is that I'm pure, because it certainly doesn't seem like it, does it? It seems like our nature is impure, because that's our conditioned nature, and that's what we're familiar with, and that's who we are. So, right? So that's what it seems like that's who we are. But it's important to think, no, that's not who I am. I'm a pure devotee. That's my nature. That's a much more inspiring thought, isn't it? Because otherwise, we're so conditioned, it's easy to think, well, how will I ever be pure? I'm so impure. No, you're not impure. Your material mind and body are impure, but you're not your mind and body, so you are not impure. You're pure. You have a relationship with Krishna, one of the rasas. It's like already there, and it's just like you just got to find it. You lost it. You just got to find it. It's there. So you don't have to create it. It's already there. Your relationship with Krishna exists. It's just dormant. It's covered by material mind and senses. So if ever you become discouraged and think it's impossible, just think, well, I can't say it's impossible because it already exists. Maybe I don't want it, so it seems like it's impossible. But if I want it, or at least if I know that it's there, it's not something I have to create, it's just something I have to uncover through purification. So that's helpful. By these calculations, the life of Brahma seems fantastic and interminable, but he does die. But from the viewpoint of eternity, it is as brief as a lightning flash. Wow. Okay, I'm going to restate that in another way. 311 trillion, 40 billion years is as brief as a lightning flash. Wait. No, I have to say it again. 311 trillion and 40 billion years seems fantastic and interminable, but from the viewpoint of eternity, it is as brief as a lightning flash, like that much. 311 trillion, 40 billion is like, in the light of eternity, it's a flash. You don't even notice it. The light of eternity, 311 trillion years, nobody even notices. And so now you look at your life now, it's just like, you're all like 20, 30, 40, 50. Like, that's not a lot of time. And we think that 20, 30, 40, 50 years is everything. That's all we know. This is like everything. And it's not even a flash in the pan. It's not even on the radar. It's so short. And then you go back to Godhead, right? To the eternal Leela with Krishna, and devotees say, well, will I remember like my life here, that whole, whatever it is. It's like, yeah, you remember it as a flash in the pan. If you won't want to remember it, but if it's kind of like you get there and it's like, what happened? It's like, you wake up, you were reading a book, and then you're like, oh, what happened? You don't even realize you were asleep. It's like that. You look back, all these important things that we're doing here, you're with Krishna, and like, what about my material existence? And it's like, oh, I can't remember. It's like nothing. It's like, well, that was just a second I was down there. It's just nothing, Isn't that interesting? And we're looking at like 20 years as like everything, like really important, what am I going to do with my career and my aspirations and my desires, and I have to fulfill this and do this and get that, and it's all important. And when you're with Krishna, you look back at it, it's like, whatever. Can't even remember it. You know that story? Narada's asking Krishna, how's Maya so strong? Like what? I don't understand. And Krishna says, Narada, can you get me some water in a well? And then Krishna puts on this illusion. So in Narada's mind, it's real to him. He sees a beautiful woman, he gets married, he has kids, and then he eventually drowns in a flood, and he comes back, and Krishna, why did you allow me to drown? And Krishna explains that it was just my Maya. That was only like 3 minutes. You know? And you experienced the whole, like raising a family and everything. Because Narada he doesn't know what Maya is. You know, it's like, what's Maya? I don't know it. Can you, like, why is everybody so crazy about Maya? Can you show me? You know. So he must show Narada a very beautiful woman, like beyond what we could imagine. And if she's that beautiful, the kids are beautiful, and you get very attached, right? You get attached to a flash in the pan. That's what's going on. And Prabhupada's trying to convince us. Prabhupada's trying to convince us of all of this. And we're like, huh? Okay. And then, yeah, Prabhupada, I got it. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it. And then we go out of class and we completely forget everything. Isn't it? Sometimes like that. Yeah, Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada. Yeah, amazing class. Yeah, and you go out, you know, so immediately, where are the pakoras? That's your first thought. You know. Who's got the halava? That's our Kali Yuga brain. But if you stay in Krishna consciousness, it gets easier. Your brain starts to, you know, all the gunk gets out of it, you know, the engine starts running, you can start hear it. It starts to work. And then Prabhupada speaks and it's like, yeah, this all makes sense. Yeah, I can do that. That's the process. If you started out as a devotee or a pious family, it's, you know, your brain works a little better from the beginning. But you know, we're all still products of Kali Yuga. So this is the last paragraph of the purport in the Bhagavad Gita. In the material universe, not even Brahma is free from the process of birth, old age, disease, and death. Brahma, however, is directly engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord in the management of this universe. Therefore, he at once attains liberation. That's his pay for that service. And of course, he has that desire. Elevated sannyasis are promoted to Brahma's particular planet, Brahma Loka, which is the highest planet in the material universe and which survives all the heavenly planets in the upper strata of the planetary systems. But in due course, in other words, lower planets are destroyed as Brahma's planet stays, but eventually it's destroyed. But in due course, Brahma and all the inhabitants of Brahma Loka are subject to death according to the law of material nature. Now, there's some description, I don't know where it is, maybe you've heard it, maybe you know the source, about the life of a demigod. So, imagine your life, the best it's ever been, like, you know, whatever that was, and then multiply it by 1,000. And then you get some idea of, like, your wealth is 1,000, your beauty is 1,000, your strength is 1,000, your intelligence is 1,000, your abilities are 1,000, right? So imagine that. That sounds good, right? You know, I mean, you know, we're talking like 1,000 times the most beautiful, intelligent, strong, etc. person here. Because if you're not beautiful and you magnify it 1,000, it could be worse, right? But we're talking about, you know, the greatest things here, magnify them, right? So you don't drink out of stainless steel. You drink out of glasses of jewels, like precious jewels. Like how much does a diamond ring cost? Like a little diamond, what? A few thousand? I don't ever buy one. Something, right?
5,000.
5,000. So how much would a glass made out of diamonds cost? Half a million.
100,000, yeah. Half a million.
Half a million, yeah. So they drink out of diamond glasses. It's, you know, 3,000, yeah, probably 3 million, because we're multiplying everything 1,000. Yeah. And your wife or husband, you know, makes the beauty of the Bollywood, Hollywood stars look like ugly people, like monsters. It's like, it's off the charts beautiful. And then you don't get old. You stay young. Like there's no, like Mathura could be, if he's on a heavenly planet, he could be like 8,000 years old now. But no, he wouldn't even look that old. He'd look like 20 or 60. I don't know. Krishna stays 16, 15 years, 9 months, something like that. That's like a good age. You know? If you ask people how old you want to be, they're probably 16 to 23, probably, something like that. So you stay young and you just enjoy. And you know, when you enjoy in this world, the byproduct of your enjoyment is kids. And kids are expensive. And, you know, it takes time to take care of them and, you know, feed them. And, you know, so you're going to have to work and so forth. So, but what if you could just enjoy and have no kids? You know, well, you know, but I want kids. Okay, you'll have one kid. That's the demigods. They enjoy their whole life and have one kid. So if you want a big family, 10 kids, don't become a demigod because you only get one. But they can enjoy it just unlimitedly, sexually, and have one kid and not get old. No gray hair, no wrinkles. Wow, you know, amazing, right? And then one day they die. And it said, for them dying is so painful because of how much they enjoyed and the attachments they developed, that they just go into a state of just agony and they cry and their soul comes down to the earth in a tear. Have you heard that before? Anyway, that's another thing. But I was focusing on the agony that they experience when it's all over. It's this unlimited pain because of the enjoyment they have. Right? So even you go to heavenly planet, you still lose in the end because it's taken away. And, you know, Krishna makes this beautiful arrangement for us on earth that as you get older, your body slows down and you get physical problems and aches and pains. And, you know, it's like when you're a kid, you know, you got a pain in your knee, it goes away the next day. When you get older, you get a pain and it's like, oh, it's been 3 months and it's still there. What's going on, you know? And so it just continues, even if you're healthy, you know, your body's physical. So, you know, everybody thinks it's going to be hard to die, but if you live long enough and your body breaks down long enough, you'll be thinking, like, can I die today? God, can I die today? Because I'm stuck in this body and it's like really unpleasant. So that's a blessing, you know. Everybody thinks, I'll never be able to die, I won't be detached. And I say, well, don't be so sure. Because if your body's breaking down, why would you want to stay in it? It doesn't give you anything anymore. But that demigod body, it gives you everything. So why would you, you know, giving it up is like, whoa, forget it. So they suffer like anything. It's so bad, they can hardly tolerate it. Hare Krishna. Okay, it's time for questions. You have a question? If you get killed by Krishna, you get liberation. Maybe that's why sinners come back into Yuga. Yeah, I was thinking like that also. But if you're killed by Krishna, you shouldn't come back in Kali Yuga. You should go in Brahman. That's where you go. So that's why it's a little problematic. Okay. So, my dear devotees, I'm going to stop sharing. And if you have any questions, you can ask. Either here or on chat, or you can raise your hand.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Like everybody says, I mean, in the Puranas or everything, based on our karma, punya karma, you go back to heavenly planets and then enjoy and then come back to get moksha.
Yeah.
But is it not possible to take moksha from the being with the punya karma and the heavenly God? From there, why can't you go up instead of why to come back into this material form?
Because your good karma runs out. But you could get liberation from there. But, you know, it's not why you went there. If that's why you're going there. But this planet's easier to get liberation because it's not as nice. Like, if you think, well, I'll go to Brahmaloka or Chandraloka or some heavenly planet, enjoy, and from there I'll practice liberation. But why do the demigods want to come here? Because they want to come here and get Mahaprabhu's mercy. And the earth planet, it is both hellish and heavenly. So it's not so bad that you go crazy, and it's not so good that you get too attached. So, imagine there's a place, like it's 1,000 times better than this planet, and you're asked to be the temple president. You might think, and there's a list of temple presidents that went there, and none of them made it. They all left Krishna consciousness. So you might think, yeah, better I don't go there. It's easier. It's easier here. I'll tell you a story, Srini. This is a story, personal story. I went to South Africa in 1981, I believe. And I was living in San Diego at the time. And I grew up in Southern California. So Southern California is considered a nice place. And it was nicer then because it wasn't so crowded. Miles and miles of beaches and so forth. And so the devotees in South Africa were telling me when I was still in San Diego that we have a problem here is that very few white people are joining, and the white people who join, they don't stay because things are so nice in South Africa. And I'm thinking, well, they're nice here in Southern California, and so many people are becoming devotees. I don't understand. So I got to South Africa and saw that it was much nicer than Southern California. That I was in Johannesburg, and when you fly over Johannesburg, you've never seen so many swimming pools in a city before. And about 2/3 of that city looks like Beverly Hills, as I remember it. It's like filthy wealth. They have gold and silver, and all their labor is black labor. $5 a day is the going price. So if you're a white person in South Africa, it's the closest thing I saw to Brahmaloka. Well, Brahmaloka's better, but and so when I got there, I thought, now I understand why it's hard for these people to become devotees. And so there was one, we had a few white South Africans. It was rare. We have more now after apartheid because life is different for them. And so now they're coming because it's not so good. But when it was good like that, I was talking to one South African devotee about, just like cleaning your room and doing this and that. And he said, well, we had servants, so I never cleaned my room. They did the cleaning, they did the laundry, they did the cooking, they did the gardening, they took out the trash. I never did anything. So now you're going to become a brahmachari, sleep on the floor, and clean everything. It was difficult for most of them. I mean, some of them made it, but... And a lot of them well, there weren't a lot who came, but those who came, it was hard because that's their lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And so now it's different. The life for the black people is better. Life for the white people is not what it used to be. And we have many, many white South African devotees. Many, many more. But after South Africa, I went to London, and the way the weather has been here lately is pretty much how it is in London in the winter. The difference is it gets light later, and because it's higher up. So you have this weather like we're having. In case those of you who don't know, this weather is 37 yesterday? That's Celsius. That's 3 or 2 or something. And it's cloudy and rainy and gray ever since I've been here, right? Which is kind of how London is in the winter. And I was in London in 1983, and there were programs where people would come for lunch and dinner, and we would do kirtans, and we would talk to them. And so that was my service. So I got to talk to all the new people. And the government had this situation where if you didn't work, they would give you 400 or 500 pounds a month, which was, you could barely live on it. But if you got a job, you might make less. So it's why work, So you had all these people who weren't working, living in this crowded city that's always dark, and the sunrise at 8:30, it sets at 3:30. It's like Vancouver's like that, right? If you go up further north, and then and so many people were coming, so many people were becoming devotees. So I come from South Africa, it's paradise, no one becomes a devotee. I go to England, it's hell, and so many people are becoming devotees. So to think I would go to the heavenly planets due to my punya karma and get liberation from there, You might be one rare soul who does it. But Mahaprabhu is here, and Mahaprabhu comes, as we said, once every 860 million, what was it? 8,640,000,000 years, and the demigods want to come here. So why would you want to go there? They want to come here, right? Isn't it? Yeah. I mean, follow the trail of the demigods. They want to get Mahaprabhu's mercy. So yeah, it's better here. It's better here. I don't know if any of you are aware of this, but Hawaii has been coined the sannyasi graveyard by ISKCON. Because it seems like, at least in the older days of ISKCON, every sannyasi who was stationed in Hawaii as full-time service gave up their sannyas. They couldn't do it in Hawaii. So it's called the sannyasi's graveyard. Now it's different. We're older. 70-year-old sannyasis. It's like, yeah, okay. But in those days, the 30-year-old sannyasis, going to Hawaii. I don't know. I mean, I've been to Hawaii. It's okay, but I lived in Mauritius. It's nicer than Hawaii. But the vibe in Hawaii is different, I guess. So, we have a comment here. So frustrating to meet people who are not interested to know about Krishna and the real position. Yeah. Yeah, because in Kali Yuga, people's brain, they don't, I mean, look at all the podcasts. What are they talking about? Money, relationships, success, body, building your body. It's not mostly they're talking about success. Money's a byproduct. Material success. Where's the podcast that's talking about how to get out of here? All the podcasts are about how to do better while you're here. Eventually they'll start talking about it. I think Robin Sharma started talking about death. Like, you're going to die. But it's probably all because, so do more here because you're going to die. That kind of thing, right? Call you the brain. And they call it spiritual. It's sad, definitely sad. Okay. We have any other questions? Yes.
If we are in the comfort zone, then it means that it's difficult to do bhakti. Is it like that?
Well, Prabhupada said, he's asking if we're in the comfort zone. Is it difficult to do bhakti? I don't want to say it's difficult to advance. Because there's a purport. I'm trying to remember how Prabhupada said it. But Prabhupada uses the word casual devotee. Casual meaning, kind of comfort zone devotee. Does anybody know what Prabhupada said about casual devotee? I can't remember exactly, but something like Krishna doesn't appreciate a casual devotee. It's like we're all staying in the temple and we're all messing it up, but we don't want to clean it. So Baladev's like, can you help clean? He said, no, I'm a guest. I'm not cleaning. So Baladev's like, yeah, please don't come back. So, Krishna doesn't like a casual devotee. You've come to bhakti, but you're like, you don't want to do anything. So, I think it's obvious. Yeah, I mean, you could ask that question about anything. Can I do well if I'm casual? Can I do well in school if I just, I want to stay in my comfort zone. What's my comfort zone? Comfort zone is not to study. My comfort zone is to party. So I don't go to class, I don't study. That's my comfort zone. Or my comfort zone is go to class and fall asleep. Or, scroll on my phone. So I don't think you can really succeed in anything in your comfort zone. And I was saying, I don't know if I was saying it here, but the comfort zone is sometimes represented as a circle. And the idea of the comfort zone is everything in the circle you can do. There's no anxiety, there's no stress, there's no fear. It's what you're comfortable with. And this concept came up because when you're in your comfort zone, you don't strive to be better. Because when you strive to be better, then there's stress. It's uncomfortable, right? Like, if I ask you to do something you've never done and you don't feel you can do it, you immediately feel uncomfortable. Do I have to do it? It's like, I don't feel well. can you give the Sunday lecture? And you've never given a Sunday lecture, then you'll feel stressed. You'll feel very uncomfortable, and you'll tell me, I don't feel comfortable doing it. So the idea of the comfort zone was, because you're comfortable doing all these things, you only keep repeating doing the same thing, so you don't grow. So if you grow by doing something uncomfortable, right? Okay. How many push-ups you can do? You say, well, I could do 20. I'll say, can you do, so do 25. You push yourself, But it's uncomfortable, I know, but that's how you become stronger. So if you're looking at your life and you're thinking, okay, this is what I'm comfortable with, you will see that all your goals are uncomfortable, because your goals are not what you're doing now, because, unless you're like, well, I've achieved all my goals, I retire. But most people have goals, and those goals, the reason we don't achieve those goals is because they're uncomfortable, so we don't do them. So which means all the goals are outside the comfort zone. And so, to put it this way, which makes it easier, is that everything you want is outside your comfort zone. And so then you realize, oh, so the good things are outside the comfort zone. I don't grow within the comfort zone, so I should want to be outside my comfort zone. That's good, right? I've never done this before. Let me try to do it. I will grow. So you grow outside the comfort zone. And you want to know something really interesting? That for many of us, probably most devotees, maybe all devotees, we can never be happy if we're not growing. Like if we're just stagnating. Have you had any new realizations this week, Prabhu? No. How about this month? No. Have you read anything new? No. It sounds kind of boring. How's your life? Nothing much going on. It sounds boring, doesn't it? Right? So one of the human needs is to grow. And in many people, that human need is their strongest need is to grow. Like they can't be happy if they don't grow. And so if you're that kind of person where you need to grow, to learn, to be better, to challenge yourself, and you stay in your comfort zone will be really miserable. You'll be very unhappy there. Right? Yeah. We have some questions here. From Bhupal and Lal Gopal. Sounds like coward boys, right? You mentioned it causes great agony to the soul to fall down from the heavenly planets, and how much agony it would cause to fall down from the spiritual world. Then why do souls still fall down from there? I'm not sure they do. That's a discussion for a class called Controversies. This is such an interesting topic, and my conclusion on this topic of where the jiva came from is that there's a lot of confusion and misunderstanding. But let's just say Maya is very powerful. Krishna certifies Maya is powerful and unconquerable. Whether Maya exists in the spiritual world and you could be influenced, that's another discussion. But when we're influenced by Maya, we turn our back on Krishna. That is the conclusion of Shastra. You find that in Chaitamrita, Prema Vivarta, these verses, that we turn our back on Krishna, and as a result, we're here. So, you could say, why would you turn your back on Krishna? Because Maya is strong. Maya bewilders us. You ever been bewildered by Maya? And you lose basically your capacity to reason properly, even though you have knowledge. So Maya is so powerful, like the story of Narada, just the story of Indra. Indra becomes a pig, and he's cursed to become a pig, and he's got a pig family. There's a song by the Beatles about Indra, right? Pigs and piglets. You know that song? Piggy, piggy. I don't remember. There's a song about pigs. It wasn't about Indra, but it sounds like. I don't know what it was about. What they were. Paul McCartney or something. What he was referring to. You can look it up. Pigs. I forget. I don't know. Little Piggies, maybe that's the name of the song. So Indra, he's in this situation, and the curse is over, and Indra, come back, you're the king of heaven, you have your planet. He's like, I'm not going back, what are you talking about? I can't leave my wife and kids. Indra, you're a pig. This is temporary, these are my kids, this is my wife. So it's pretty strong, right? Now, just think of this. Is it obvious we're not the body? Well, kind of, because the body's changing. And I'm aware of my body, so if I'm aware of my body, I must not be it, because I must be separate. Otherwise, how could I be aware of it? It's so obvious, and we're completely in the body concept, right? Get up in the morning. Well, I don't have any hair to do it, but you get up in the morning. How do I look? Right? Every morning we certify that I'm the body. Stamps. Certified this morning, and I'm the body. Make it look beautiful and so forth. Take care of it. Right?
It's called Piggies, Maharaj. Piggies.
What are the lyrics? I think the song's about Indra. But I don't know who he's referring to as piggies. Yeah. So, how could we turn our back on Krishna? Maya is very strong. And our desire to imitate Krishna is also very strong, so it works together. So you have the desire, Maya comes. Now here's the thing, Bhupal, this is really interesting. It's described in the Bhagavatam that when Lord Brahma was creating, he had to create this bodily illusion. And the reason is like, we are in this world to enjoy it, right? Now, if you're about to enjoy something materially, and you really want it, you're really attached to it, and it's a high level of material gratification, sensual gratification. And I come with my magic wand and touch your head and go, bing, and you realize you're not the body, that like ruins your fun. It's like, why did you do that? I was just about to do this. And now that I realize I'm not the body, I'm spirit soul, I can't enjoy it. Party's over. Right? I go, oh, I'm sorry. Bang, put you back in illusion. And you say, oh, thank you. That's better. Right? So, we turn our back on Krishna. We come to this world to be little Krishnas. And so Brahma says, okay, well, if you want to be little Krishnas, I have to give you this big ego. So you think you're the body and you could imitate God and you think you can control. Because if I don't give that to you, you can't imitate him. So you need that. So I have to go, bing, illusion. And you're like, I'm the body. I can enjoy. So that's what Brahma does. He creates these things for us. And so self-realization is the purification of the illusions that Brahma created. So when those illusions aren't there, there's no impetus to do anything other than serve. Okay, here are the lyrics for the song. I forgot the melody. I'm only going to say it if it refers to Indra. I think he's talking about the police, calling them pigs.
Oh,
Yeah. It doesn't describe Indra. I think he's describing the police. The British devotees would know. Everywhere there's lots of piggies living piggy lives. You can see them out for dinner with their piggy wives. Yeah, well, that's good. That describes Indra, right? Yeah, anyway. Maybe it doesn't describe police. Anyway. We learned something about the Beatles today. Hare Krishna. Yes. Well, we have one more question. The Lord remains concealed to the non-devotees or casual devotees who preserving their sense gratification. Yeah, so that's Bhagavatam. That's the point we're making. He cannot fulfill the whims of non-devotees even when such casual devotees offer him the best of prayers. Krishna's Now here's the statement about. I was looking for another statement about casual devotees. Maybe you can find more. He cannot fulfill the whims of non-devotees even when such casual devotees offer him the best of prayers. It was like the Krishna's like, are you in? Are you not in? Like, we're doing this thing, Krishna consciousness. Are you with me or not? Can I come on Sunday for an hour? No, we're doing this full time. Are you in or you're not? So if you say I'm not getting out of my comfort zone, Krishna will say, okay, see you later. You can always come back when you make a decision. Yeah. So he doesn't like it. That's the point. Yes. I mean, your wife. She's like, yeah, I'll be a wife sometimes. I'll take care of the kids sometimes. So being a wife's kind of out of my comfort zone. What would you think? Yes.
So yeah, being in the comfort zone, and it's like having guru to help us come out of the comfort zone is very vital, very important.
Mm-hmm.
How do we have guru nishta to really support that whole process?
Because you realize through experience that on your own, he's asking how do you get guru nishta, because you need it, faith in guru to get out of this, because you already tried to get out of it and it didn't work. And you realize that I was putting faith in my own intelligence, and that doesn't work. And so I need to put faith in something higher, the person who has higher knowledge, and that person can get me out. So that's why we put faith in guru. And some people say, well, you're putting faith in a person, or how can I have faith? Well, your option is faith in yourself, but faith in yourself hasn't worked. If it had worked, you wouldn't be here. So we're in the cycle of repeated. It's like a person has no money, but they don't want to take advice from someone who's a multi-billionaire. Mm-hmm. I'll just figure it out myself. And say, well, you're 80 years old, you haven't figured it out. Like, maybe you should just take advice from him. That's common sense. So 80 zillion, quadrillion, unlimited lifetimes, we haven't figured it out. So maybe I should find out from someone who knows. So that's why we have faith. Because faith, I mean, if you don't have faith, basically you have faith in your own subjective vision of who you are in the world. That's where your faith is. So it's not like you don't have faith, Shraddha Maya. Krishna says that, consciousness is made of faith. There's no such thing as not having faith. Mm-hmm. So it's a question of what do you put your faith in? So why would you want to put your faith in your own limitation if the result of that is you repeated birth and death, and you still are struggling in the material world? It doesn't make sense. So, people say, no, I don't trust anybody. Well, so you trust yourself. It's better you trust somebody who's smarter than you. It's better you trust someone who's liberated. It's better you trust someone who's been there. Because if you trust yourself and you haven't been there, and you've had enough chances to be there, it's not going to work. Right? Correct?
Correct.
It's very simple. So someone says, I want to do it on my own. I want to find the truth on my own. But you've been looking for it. Like, I really got to go to the bathroom. Don't tell me where it is. Like sometimes kids, don't tell me. I want to find, you're running around looking for the bathroom and you're peeing in your pants and, it's like, and you won't let anybody tell you. So that's what we're like, Isn't it? We're just stubborn, The false ego is like, I'll do it myself. Yeah, okay, try it in one life, but, we're talking unlimited lives. And so you have to be smart enough to know that, well, yeah, obviously the mind and senses are limited. I can understand something, but not everything. And that, and the Vedas say, you're not really human if you don't have a guru, because you can't really perfect your human life, because that's what you're supposed to do, is become self-realized, and you can't do it on your own. You can go get a certain realization on your own, but complete liberation, no. So, therefore, Shastra says, Tasaman Guru Prapadita. It's absolutely necessary. It's like, hello, duh, you can't do it on your own. It took me 1,000,000 lifetimes to figure that out, after being battered around left and right. But a little intelligence, yeah, I can't do it on my own. That's the Kali Yuga brain. I'll do it on my own. I'll figure it out on my own. You'll figure out something, but not enough to get out of here. Let's speak of a process to get out.
What are some other, you're saying what the brain is telling, what are some other, like, maybe self-defeating stories or messages we may carry relating to
faith?
Faith in Guru.
Yeah, because we've been let down by authority. And so we're afraid of authority. So it's understandable, but it's not intelligent. Like, so many gurus. Prabhupada thought like that also. You know, I don't want to see this guru. No, you should come see him. Bhakti Siddhanta is great. God, I've seen so many gurus. And this person forced Prabhupada to come. So it's understandable. If I've been let down by authority, I would be doubtful and resistant. But it doesn't make sense in the light of someone who is not like the person who let you down. To doubt that person. It's unfair to doubt that person. I mean, that happens in marriage all the time, right? You come from a bad relationship, and then your wife or husband is like, fine, but you're projecting into them the mentality and activities of your former spouse. And they're not doing anything wrong, but it looks similar. That's totally unfair to them, isn't it? Like, you're accusing me of something I'm not doing because your former spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend did it. So, once cheated, twice shy, it's understandable. But so many devotees, maybe every devotee who came to ISKCON had connection with some other spiritual guru, maybe even only from a book. But when you come to the real guru, and you're like, oh, this is the real thing. So that's intelligent. Yeah, I should be intelligent enough to doubt. That doubt is good. But when you doubt the real thing, then you're stupid. If you doubt the wrong thing, you're smart. If you doubt the right thing, you're stupid. And so a lot of people do that. They're smart enough to doubt the wrong thing, but then they decide to doubt everything. And that's doesn't make sense. Right? It's like saying all people of this race are bad because some people are bad. It's the same thing. And if I said all black people are bad, I would be shot. So if I say all gurus are bad, it's the same thing. Maybe all the gurus are bad that you know, but that doesn't mean they're all bad. So what you're describing is you're allowing an event from the past to cloud your ability to disempower you from doing the right thing now. And so you don't want to live that way. That's really bad. So these are past experiences, okay. But I don't want to allow these past experiences to inform my decisions today because I'll make bad decisions based on them. Let me decide what I need to decide. Let me I had a bogus guru, whatever. Let me learn from that. What is a real guru? So I can make the right choice. So I think it's important to be aware if you have authorities with issues, you have issues with authorities, or you had a guru who fell. You're naturally going to be suspicious. It's naturally going to be harder for you. But that doesn't mean that there's not bona fide gurus. You just become more careful about who you choose. It's like anything. You buy something that doesn't work, and you're like, oh, now I know more about this product. And take it back and choose another one. I see this little switch here, it's loose, and the other product doesn't have a switch, it just has a button, that's better, or it's all digital, so there's no buttons to break, and you're like, okay. So, you don't not buy another product, you're just like, oh, it was a learning experience. Right? The point I was making before is faith is a condition of consciousness, so you can't exist. So if you say I don't have faith, That's not true.
Mm.
It just means you don't have faith in this, but you have faith in something else. Or like I'm an atheist. So you have faith in your belief that God doesn't exist. It's not that you don't have faith. That's your philosophy. It's like the guy who wrote the book and said, don't read books. Or something like that. The guy who said there's no need to say anything. Or, well, why did you say that? You contradicted yourself. Yes.
So, I think a lot of devotees, we can feel sometimes, when we hear these messages, like, one thing you said during your visit here is that how the mind wants us to stay in the material world.
Yeah.
It makes all these adjustments to be, and so, when we hear these things being reiterated and shared with us, sometimes I go to the complete opposite extreme of, yes, I don't want my mind to do that. I don't want, to be dictated what my life is going to be. I just want to give it completely to Krishna. It's like, if anything at all is in my life not related to Krishna, I don't want it. I don't want to engage it. I don't want to do it. So, even like, when I was in my marriage, at some point, hearing these kinds of messages, and it's like, my wife would want to go to family functions or go with, they were our friends at the time. It's kind of like, no, I'm not doing this. They're not devotees. I don't want to be around them. I'm not doing, so. What's some practical
all
advice?
Or nothing, black and white, all or nothing.
Yeah, like what's some
So
practical?
what do we do?
Yeah, because on one hand, of course, that's good. That's great for our progress. At the same time, maybe it's not so healthy.
Well,
so what's the
solution is easy. If you want to be black and white, don't get married. You can just be white all the time. You don't have to you can just go in your room and lock the door. You don't have to talk to anybody. Isn't it? Which is kind of interesting because, being a brahmachari, you have facility to become dysfunctional. You have a little facility, like no social responsibility, very, little, you're not, the social interactions that are demanded of you in Grihastha ashram are not demanded of you as much, and sometimes not even at all as a brahmachari. So, what I would say in these practical situations where it's just part of the ashram, these are things you do in the ashram, and maybe for you, they're not things that you would choose to do, but because you're in that ashram, it comes with the territory. What I would suggest, and this is what I did, and I don't have to do it so much because I'm not very compromised now in my life, but when it was, I would pray to Krishna and say, I'm going into this compromised situation. How can I maintain my consciousness? Like, I need guidance because my training as a brahmachari didn't give me guidance of how to adapt to this situation. I was, I could be a little antisocial, because I didn't really have to interact. I just interacted with people on the street for like a minute, and that was about as social as I got. And I just come back and go in my room and read my shastra and eat my pakoras. I'm not used to this environment, and this is like, I'm around people, they're not devotees, they're socializing, they're talking about the news and this and that. Krishna, help me, right? Mm-hmm. And so Krishna will help you, and sometimes you might just come into that environment and think, I really feel compassion for these people because they're illusioned. They don't know, they don't understand their position. So you might be praying, just talking, they're talking, you're small talking, but you're actually praying, Krishna will bless this person. And you're maybe looking for an opportunity, just a very subtle, nuanced opportunity for Krishna consciousness. Or you're just trying to be nice because they know you're a devotee, and just like, if they like me, that's good for them. So you're adapting, and Krishna's guiding you. Or say, I don't really see how to engage with these people, but I could let me just try to see them as spirit souls, jivas, not as physical beings. Krishna's in their heart, and just, so I'm practicing that, and that's how we deal with it, because it is not a Krishna conscious environment, for sure. And it's not like externally, in some situations, you can make it Krishna conscious, but you can see it from a different position. And, it's, sometimes I also think, it sounds weird, but I'm not saying it about me only, but I think as devotees, if we're in those situations and people do things for us, it's devotional service, it's good for them. Mm-hmm. So I'm going there, and they're gonna, we ask them to cook, this is what you're gonna cook, they're gonna serve, we're gonna offer it, they're gonna serve, they're gonna take my plate, they're gonna wash it, they're gonna ask me, is there anything I can do for you, can I give you something, So I think, okay, they're doing devotional service. So it's a different environment of devotional service than we're used to. And so we adjust that way. And that's like, that's the hard part. If you're coming from brahmacharya to grihastha, that's probably the hardest part. Because it's like, why are you putting all these spices in my dal? I never had to eat that as a brahmacharya. It was just 3 spices. Now you're putting these spices on. Some of them don't taste good. Well, you're a grihastha, you have to eat this dal. It's like that, isn't it? Well, if you don't like this, you should have known before you got married that this is going in the dal. Why complain now? That's your fault. You didn't know this. So it's like it's part of the process of this is the ashram, and this is what is required in the ashram, and it's important that I do my ashram correctly. So Krishna help me, I pray. Even though I would rather not do this because it seems to be wasting time. But I was once distributing books in San Diego. We had legalized, at least temporarily, SeaWorld. And so on the weekends, it's like 20,000 people would come. It was crazy. And there were devotees there, that would go out with us. And then those devotees got married and had kids. And now they were out there with us, except they were going into SeaWorld with their kids. It's like, and I would look at this and I go, this is really funny. Because now you have kids, instead of doing Sankirtan here, you bring your kids in there. It's like, And it's harder for men than women. Well, women, it's natural. It's like the bond between, as long as their kids are happy, they're happy. But for men, it's like, I got to do this to be happy, whether my kids like it or not. We're different. I noticed that. So, and you're like, oh, damn, you feel guilty. Look what I'm doing. I used to distribute books here. Now I'm going in with my little kid. So, the brahmacharya has to go through all this in his head, and it's not easy. But you just have to, when you accept and adapt, well, that's what grihastha life is, and just accept it. I made that choice. This is what it is. Then you figure out, okay, Krishna, this is what I have to do. Stop fighting that. This is my duty, I want my kids to have good memories with me and their father of doing these things. Not like, well, he's a devotee, so he's no fun. We don't do any fun. He just wants me to chant japa, and that's boring. He won't talk to me if I don't chant 4 rounds, something like that. And they, when they're 18, they're out of the house and like, don't call me, I'll call you. So you don't want to create that. So it's accepting what is part of the ashram, but praying to Krishna like how I can do it in a Krishna conscious way. I think we should end now. Yes? Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanand.
Grace Mahatma Prabhu ki
Hare
jai.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Oh, Kamal has a comment. You get knowledge from Siksha and Diksha. And this morning I heard Prabhupada say, he said, when I was like in 1922, I met my Guru Maharaj. Something like that. Did you meet him in 1922 or 1918? Does anyone remember? Maybe 1918. He was like 23 or 24. He said, I met my Guru Maharaj, I heard from him, and I was initiated by him. By hearing. He said, and then 11 years later I took Diksha. So the real initiation was hearing. That's the initiation. Initiated in knowledge. So, Hare Krishna. Let's see.